Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to online classes. Last time we had two lectures. Now, this is our third lecture in which we are going to discuss the two branches of economics, micro and macroeconomics, and we will also discuss the central problems of economy. Microeconomics and macroeconomics. Here, we will discuss the meaning of microeconomics and macroeconomics and the difference between the two branches. Before 1930, there was no division of economics. It was only economics. There was no separate microeconomics and no separate macroeconomics. It was Ragnar Frisch who coined the words micro and macro in 1933 to denote the two branches of economic theory, namely microeconomics and macroeconomics. Actually, when we talk about 1930s, the Great Depression of 1930s, it was Lord Keynes or J.M. Keynes who contributed most to the macroeconomics. And J.M. Keynes is also known as father of macroeconomics. I repeat, J.M. Keynes is also known as father of macroeconomics. Now let us discuss microeconomics. What microeconomics is actually? The word micro is derived from the Greek word mikros, which means small. Here it doesn't mean that microeconomics is small economics, but here it means that microeconomics is that branch of economics which deals with the individual units, which deals with the small units of an economy. So here microeconomics deals with small individual units of an economy. Microeconomics is defined as the study of individual units of an economy such as consumers, resource owners, firms, and you can also have one more example, price of a commodity. So this branch of economics, this studies the individual units of economy, and it is also known as theory of price. Now the second branch of economics, that is macroeconomics. The word macro is derived from the Greek word makros, meaning large. And I already told you in microeconomics that doesn't mean small economics. Here in macroeconomics it doesn't mean large economics, but it means that branch of economics which deals with the aggregates of economic variables, or we can also say that it studies the aggregates of microeconomic variables. So microeconomics is defined as the study of overall economic phenomena such as problem of full employment, GNP, that is gross national product, which we can say that national income, savings, investment, aggregate consumption, aggregate investment, economic growth. It is also known as theory of income and employment. So remember one thing, when we talk about the macroeconomics, it deals with the aggregates of microeconomic variables. When we talk about the price of a commodity, that is microeconomic variable, and when we talk about the price level, it is macroeconomic variable, because that price level is the aggregate of price of a commodity. One more thing, when we talk about demand of a commodity, so demand of a commodity is individual variable, economic variable or microeconomic variable, and when we talk about the aggregate demand, then aggregate demand is the aggregate of that individual unit or that micro variable. So microeconomics deals with the price of a commodity. Here the macroeconomics deals with the price level. Microeconomics deals with the demand of a commodity, and when we talk about the macroeconomics, it deals with the aggregate demand. And when we talk about the supply of a commodity, it is micro variable, and when we talk about aggregate supply, it is macro variable. So all the micro variables of the economy are studied under microeconomics branch, and all the aggregates of those variables are studied under the macroeconomics branch. Now let us have a difference between micro and macroeconomics. So on the left side I have given the basis of difference. What are the bases on which you can differentiate micro and macroeconomics? And then you are having microeconomics, one more column, and in one more column you are having macroeconomics. So first you can differentiate these two branches on the basis of definition. Microeconomics is that part of economic theory which studies the behavior of individual units of an economy, which I already told you that microeconomics deals with the individual units of economy, like price of a commodity, demand for a commodity, supply of a commodity, consumer, behavior of a consumer, behavior of a producer. And other branch, macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is that part of economic theory which studies the behavior of aggregate of the economy as a whole. And I already told you when we discuss macroeconomics, it deals with the aggregates of economic variables. So what are those aggregates? When we talk about price of a commodity in macroeconomics it is price level. When we talk about demand for a commodity in microeconomics, it is aggregate demand in macroeconomics. So microeconomics deals with individual units and macroeconomics deals with aggregates of those individual units. Tools of analysis. What are the tools of analysis in microeconomics and what are the tools of analysis in macroeconomics? Here in microeconomics it is demand and supply. Demand for a commodity and supply of a commodity. It determines the price of a commodity. When we talk about say macroeconomics, it is aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Now, what is difference between demand and aggregate demand? Demand refers to demand for a commodity and aggregate demand refers to total demand for the commodities by the individuals, by an economy, by a country. And same is the case with the supply. So that is why I already told you that when we talk about the microeconomics, it deals with small units, and demand here is small unit, and aggregate demand, it is aggregate of that small unit. Main objective, what are the objectives of these two branches? Microeconomics aims to determine price of a commodity or factors of production. The main aim is to determine the price of commodity or factors of production. And the main aim of macroeconomics is to determine income and employment level of economy. That is the reason that microeconomics is known as theory of price and macroeconomics is also known as theory of income and employment. Basic assumptions. In microeconomics, we assume all the macro variables to be constant. When we deal with microeconomics, we assume that all the macroeconomic variables are constant. And in macroeconomics, when we deal with macroeconomics, we assume that all the micro variables are constant. So in microeconomics, macro variables are assumed to be constant, and in macroeconomics, micro variables are assumed to be constant. And other name of these branches, microeconomics is also known as price theory, and macroeconomics is also known as income and employment theory. Let us move to the next topic, that is central problems of an economy. So we already discussed about the different types of economies, say market economy, centrally planned economy, or mixed economy. All these economies are facing some problems, and those problems are known as central problems of an economy. And according to Samuelson, there are three fundamental and interdependent problems in an economy, and those are what, how, and for whom to produce. So these three are the central problems of economy, and these are faced by each and every economy. What to produce, what type of goods an economy is going to produce, and in what quantity. Second, what is the technique of production to produce those goods and services, and for whom to produce. What is the consumption group of that very economy for which those goods and services are produced. So these are the main three central problems of economy. So let us discuss first problem, what goods to produce and how much to produce. This is the first and foremost economic problem of the economies. An economy has to make a choice of the wants which are important for the economy as a whole. So first of all, when we talk about the economy, when we talk about the country, usually in economics we use word economy. So first of all, we have to choose those goods and services which are very much important for the economy as a whole. So an economy has to decide what type of goods it is going to produce. So when we talk about different types of economies, in different types of economies these decisions are taken differently. For example, when we talk about the market economy, mostly capital goods are produced, or those goods are produced in which there is more profit. And when we talk about the centrally planned economy, those goods are produced which increase the social welfare. So it has to decide whether to produce capital goods or consumer goods or both, and in what quantity. As an economy, we need both consumer goods and capital goods as well. Now we have to decide in what quantity we are going to produce these capital goods and consumer goods. An economy cannot produce only capital goods, or an economy cannot produce only consumer goods. So we have to balance between these two. And why we have to balance between these two? Because of limited resources. We do not have unlimited resources so that we can produce unlimited goods and services. So when we talk about the resource utilization, we have to channelize our resources in such a way so that maximum can be achieved. So let us have an example. For example, if the economy decides to produce more cloth, it is bound to reduce the production of food. Why? Because of limitedness of resources. An economy cannot produce all the goods in abundance. An economy has to decide in what quantity it is going to produce those goods and services. An economy cannot produce more of both food and cloth because of limited resources. Thus an economy has to decide what goods it would produce on the basis of availability of technology, cost of production, cost of supplying, and demand for the commodity. So there are number of factors which determine the production of a commodity. If a commodity is produced and there is no demand for that commodity, that means we are wasting our resources. One more thing, if we are not going to produce food and we are going to produce capital goods to increase the growth rate, at the same time we will be in shortage of food, and our people of the economy will die because of hunger, because they will not be able to get food from the market. So we have to make the decision. An economy has to make the decision what type of goods we are going to produce and in what quantity those goods and services can be produced. Depending that what quantity depends upon the resource base, that depends upon the resources, and we know that resources are limited in nature and resources are having alternative uses. So we have to make the decision. I already told you in previous lecture that economic problem arises due to decision making, due to limitedness of resources, due to alternative use of resources. So here when we talk about what goods to produce and how much to produce, here when we talk about how much to produce, that is because of that resource constraint. We are having limited resources, so we have to decide in what quantity we are going to produce those goods and services. Let us move to the next problem. Now, how to produce. Now, first was what to produce and how much to produce. That was first problem. Now, second is how to produce. Now, we know that we have to produce these goods. Now, we have to decide what type of technique we are going to use to produce those goods and services. We generally consider two types of techniques of production, that is labor intensive and capital intensive technique. And what is labor intensive technique and what is capital intensive technique? Labor intensive technique is in which labor is used in abundance, labor is used more as compared to capital, and in capital intensive technique more capital is used as compared to labor. So we are having two types of techniques. One, labor intensive technique in which labor is used more, and capital intensive technique in which capital is used more. Let us take a simple example. When we talk about the agricultural goods, in agriculture we usually use labor intensive technique, while as the production of cars, computers, aircrafts and other capital goods, capital intensive technique is used. So if we use alternative techniques, there will be wastage of resources. That means if we use capital intensive technique in agricultural production, no doubt in many countries there where there is shortage of labor, that capital intensive technique is used in agriculture as well. But when we talk about our country India, where there is where labor is in abundance, so we need to use labor intensive technique to employ our labor, to use our resources. And when we talk about the say manufacturing of cars, production of cars, we use capital intensive technique. More machines are used as compared to labor. So there are two types of techniques, labor intensive technique and capital intensive technique. Usually we are using labor intensive technique in agriculture, and in say manufacturing like car manufacturing, computers, aircrafts and number of other capital goods, we use capital intensive technique. And why we have to decide what type of technique we have to use in production of goods and services? To stop the wastage of resources, to produce more goods, to channelize our resources in an efficient manner. Third central problem is whom to produce. This problem is related to the distribution of national product, that is goods and services which an economy produced. An economy has different sections of society. That means an economy has different consumer group. We are having rich people, we are having poor people as well. Here arises the problem of how to distribute the national product among the various sections of the society. An economy has to decide how it is going to distribute the goods and services among the various sections of the society. We know that we are having rich people, we are having poor people as well. If an economy is producing goods and services for the poor people, no doubt that will lead to the equality, that will reduce the inequality, but at the same time that will reduce the economic growth as well. If an economy is producing goods for the rich people, it is distributing goods in rich people, that will lead to the increase in growth rate, but at the same time that will lead to the income, that will lead to the inequality in the society. So we know that different people have different incomes, and people earn income in the form of their wage, rent, profits or interests, and there are millions of people in a society. Each one cannot get sufficient income to satisfy all his wants, and this income is the resource with the people by which they can purchase goods and services. And here different people are having different incomes, so they are having different purchasing powers as well. So this raises the problem of distribution of national product among the different households. Here in this pie diagram you can check the income earned by the people. It is for understanding purpose only. From wage you can check most of the people are getting their income from wage. Some of them are having are getting their income from self-employment. Some are getting their income from profit. Some are getting their income from rent. Some are getting their income from interest rates. So when we talk about the people, when we talk about the consumer group, we have an economy has to decide how it is going to distribute this national product, those goods and services, to the various sections of the society. So here is the decision making, here is the problem. See how it is going to distribute this among the people. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.